Well, first of all, congrats on Coin-O-Matic. It sounds awesome. It's been really enjoyable to listen to, and it definitely feels like a sort of an evolved version of Deer Tick. Um, just kind of jumping into it here, I wouldn't call it like a concept record by any means, but it's got a distinct Rhode Island lens on it, which I know is purposeful. And I'm curious
Yes.
about sort of all your records, but this one in particular, as a group with multiple singers and writers, like how strict are you on the guardrails, or like this is a Coin-O-Matic song or this is a good song but not Coin-O-Matic, like as everyone's bringing these songs to the core group for recording and putting into a record, like how strict are you in terms of like keeping it in the central theme?
Well, I think I agree that it's not a concept record, uh, and that yes, it's like a collection of songs seen through this lens.
Yeah.
Um, but there definitely was an assignment with coming up with songs for this. Like we came up with this is like a thing I've done a few times where like I see the album cover in my head and I know what the album's going to be called. And um, I wanted to do Coin-O-Matic. I wanted to do this for many years, actually, like pre-emotional contracts. And I wanted all the songs to like take place in Rhode Island or,
Mhm.
didn't necessarily have to tell an overarching story there. But I told Dennis and Ian, um, whatever you bring to the table for this record, make sure it's like a Rhode Island song. Like however you interpret that, like, you know, do your thing. And, for my songs, I think I just really drew from experiences growing up here and
Mhm.
people I knew, family members, neighborhood characters, some, you know, just some of our famous criminals from mobsters to politicians and just all that stuff kind of colored my songs for it. And I feel like all of my songs kind of take place like in another
Mhm.
era. Like it's a bit nostalgic for me. It's these aren't totally like modern day stories, I guess. I think the closest thing would be like Exit Door, but that's like about an old gangster getting out of federal prison after a long time and being like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like, what happened to my favorite restaurant? You know?
You kind of led right into it, like this kind of third person narrative style writing, at least for your songs, John,
Yeah,
feels new. Was that
absolutely.
like a fun creative challenge, like getting your like mafia crime novel creative fiction writing on, or like did you do any method actor strategies on like getting inside the minds of these folks? Because like some of the songs are really detailed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of like truth in every song.
Mhm.
There's like, an idea of a real person behind it. So it wasn't, I mean, it's all like fiction, but
Yeah.
it's based on real people, kind of characters that are amalgamations of people.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it was a challenge, so I wouldn't necessarily say that the process was like fun, but it was. I felt like I learned a lot. I think I became a better writer through this process, and I learned. Um, I think I just I don't know. I I like I don't know how to say this. I know what I'm trying to say, but um, just to be a better, just to become a better storyteller through
Mhm.
song is was my goal.
Yeah.
Uh, and I hope I achieved that on some level. And Yeah, as far as method uh, songwriting, I guess you could call it. I didn't quite do that, but for some songs like ACI, I didn't want to get anything wrong about, the
Yeah.
process of, being arrested for an armed robbery and, arraignment and all this stuff and
Yeah.
like uh so I did talk to a couple lawyers to make sure that I kind of had, you know, that this could happen in real life.
Yeah, totally.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. As a fellow songwriter and bandmate of Chance, I was pretty inspired by some of the levels of detail that he was
Hmm.
both interested in and reworking things to be accurate while not feeling as if like it's not just a list. It's still poetry. It still conveys emotion. I thought that was pretty cool. I was going to bring up the lawyer thing, and then I feel like there was something about a car too that you want to like make sure that that was from the time too. Am I right, or is that incorrect?
Yeah, well, I think at the time there was a reference to like a year. Um,
You're right.
so I had to make sure that Oldsmobiles, made the 88 in that particular year. And there was a landmark uh that was in the song that's not anymore, but like I had to make sure that that building was built by that
Right.
year and that all this stuff. But I stripped it of some of those details, and I think the story flows a little bit better. But um, yeah, it's funny. Like I don't know. You probably wouldn't mind if I told if I told on him. But my dad was a teenager and stuff. He used to, cause a lot of trouble around the neighborhood. He would steal cars and stuff like that. And so the character in ACI is like just a little bit based on my dad, but I didn't know that he used to run with these two brothers, the McGee brothers. And, they would, all cause trouble together. And in the song, the narrator's buddy who he commits crimes with is Jackie McGee, which was just a coincidence. When my dad heard it, he was laughing his ass off.
Oh, no way. That was so that's what I was gonna be like. Is Jackie McGee a real person? Is this like kind of
I
a made up? Oh, wow.
I guess he's the two brothers in one. I don't know.
That's pretty cool actually. And honestly, it kind of speaks to this like maybe at the risk of trying to dissect this too much or maybe not enough because I know chronologically it doesn't make sense, but like is there a world in which these characters sort of reappear over the course of the record? Like it could the guy in dog years be the same person from Candy Cigarettes who kind of like comes to America, his whole life flashes before, and then he's at the end of his life, or like even Exit Door you mentioned, like could that be the same guy from ACI? Or like I know that's
No,
sort of a space
because
time
ACI is
continuum.
the state prison and exit door. This is the guy I'm picturing coming off of a long stretch out of federal prison.
Got it. Okay, okay. I knew I was like, this could be a stretch. Maybe there's some space-time continuum here happening.
But no, I mean, I kind of wanted to kind of hint at that
Mhm.
without, making any explicit connections. But even in dog years, like, the guy's uh, wife that he's lost, her name's Mary. And then
Mhm.
the next song is Mary Singletary. Are they the same? I don't know.
Okay.
I
Is
like to believe
are
they
the
are.
narrators of those songs the same? I don't know. I don't really have an answer for it. It's certainly fun to imagine that they are. And as standalone songs, they work too. So
Totally. And I think that's what it makes it not a concept record in my mind because like every song is just like a good rock and roll song. Like it could be in and out of context of the whole album, which I like. Dennis, you've been sort of credited with like lead sound engineer on this. I know you guys entirely self-produced the whole record. You have
Yeah.
three songs on here, which I think might be your most of any Deer Tick album.
Yes.
How did these sessions differ? From previous ones in terms of like, your contributions?
yeah, so like you mentioned, I did engineer the record.
Mhm.
Um, we all produced it together. Uh, kind of like something I don't know because John, like you said, we he had this assignment. Uh, we all met on Federal Hill at this
Mhm.
restaurant called the Old Canteen,
Cool.
which
That's
is no
like
longer there.
Providence's Little Italy, I guess.
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
Federal Hill.
so it's kind of apropos location. And so the assignment was five to bring five songs that take place in Rhode Island. So like a canvas of our state. And I just I was interested. I knew that the way that John was talking about some character driven, some story driven type stuff, I wanted to figure out what my version of that was.
Hmm.
To be sort of like authentic to myself, but work within the parameters. And so yeah, I got to work. I was saying the next day, I think I wrote 507 Smith because I had the chord part going already. And then with that sort of like template in mind of like, okay, well, this is what the record's going to be like. And that just sort of poured out of me. But then kind of like later on in the process, drawing some inspiration from John, like I also edited it down. There's a few more verses to that song that didn't make it because I thought that it was able to be a better song without those things. So, and that's kind of new for me too. A lot of times, sort of something would pour out that would feel good, and that would kind of be the song. And
Yeah.
then also, like for this record, a new experience for me is that like a lot of songs that I've written in the past, I'd have like a drum beat, a bass line, and a vocal melody.
Hmm.
But I would by no means say that I can play the piano. But I've been working a lot more on chord structures, and so there was a new that was really exciting for me too. Is that like a lot of these songs came in a different fashion than songs had in the past, and I had a lot of fun with that. It was a whole new dynamic to the songs for me, and so I had more fun working on these songs than I've ever had on
Oh,
stuff, and then yeah, and then as far as performance, it was we had a lot of time to do what we did.
mhm.
So we were able to be like relaxed and comfortable in our sort of own element. And I thought that
Yeah.
that also lended itself really well to the final.
I gathered that this was sort of a unique recording experience in that you were like in a home studio, you didn't travel out anywhere, and maybe less distractions than a well-known studio or something, but maybe more like domestic
Distractions.
duties or
Domestic distractions.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
like would you I don't not to say would you do this all over again, but like would you do that again for another record? Like, kind of Wilco Loft status? Like is this the new home turf, the new home studio or
I mean, we'll definitely record
awesome.
again. Like, I don't know if it'll be the next record,
Yeah.
but I mean, I guess the studio's at my house, so it was kind of it was hard for me to separate some of those distractions,
Yeah.
and sometimes my dog would bark at the door because he wanted to come in the studio and like blow a take,
Yeah.
or my daughter would come busting in when she got home from school because she wants to raid the candy stash in the studio. Um, so uh, it was fun, but it was like I have like nowhere to go to like decompress,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like when I leave the studio, I'm dad, I'm husband, I'm like dog
Mhm.
owner, homeowner, I gotta mow the lawn, I gotta like shit like that.
I hear you, man. It's different, but I work from home and I purposely scheduled this. I got dog in the crate, daughter's at school. I'm like, I feel you for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sort of fascinated by this concept of like regionalism. Like I'm out here in Seattle, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, these heavy emotional bands, usually because my theory is that because it rains so much, everyone's just like depressed and inside and stuff like that. But um, and I don't know a lot of other new Rhode Island bands to compare you to necessarily, but you guys feel distinctly like a New England band. How do you think those roots show up in your sound?
Oh God. What did I don't know. I mean, I wasn't aware that there was like a regional New England sound, but I guess there is. Because Ben Vaughn said something like that. We did a record with Ben Vaughn. He's like uh saying something like classic New England rhythm section or something. I was like, what? What's
Something
that?
that, yeah, something that I notice that I appreciate is like, and this isn't, I don't think you could necessarily even pick it directly out of our sound, but I
Mhm.
know that a bunch of us went to like a lot of kind of like noise shows
Mhm.
and mill buildings in Providence, and there was this sort of like that Providence scene happening in the formative years, and I still feel like what like I say, whether or not it's a direct sound or if it's just a feeling, I feel like some of that feeling is imbued in
Mhm.
there. It's like we don't sound like Lightning Bolt at all,
Right.
but I do know that sometimes emotionally I would like to capture a similar feeling of sort of like that onslaught, or like,
Yeah.
if something's like really intense, then it needs to be like 100% fully intense, in a way that is probably more influenced by noise and noise rock musicians than maybe some other places that were influenced by a different kind of rock and roll. So I feel like that shows up sometimes
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think
a lot.
like I don't know. I mean, I grew up hearing a lot of Irish music and like boring Catholic church music and I think there's like a lot of like blues rock here too. And so I don't know, maybe like you take those three things and you got Deer
Yeah,
Tick.
yeah,
Very
right. No,
good.
totally. Well, because yeah, also like John was one of the first friends of mine that I sort of like saw exploring like some dedicated songwriters, and I sort of learned a lot about the great songwriters of music from John. I think like we used to hang out, and he like I remember when John showed me Rex's Blues by Townes Van Zandt, that like sort of like felt as if it were a type of paradigm shift. So there's like I thought that was a cool sort of different. That's like somewhere in there too. It's like that you got this tattooed on you, John, but for the sake of the song, I think that's really important too. It's that like that the song's the most important thing, and
Totally.
then it gets presented however it gets presented. But like that skeleton exists within the piece of work, I think is like of prime importance, and then sort of these other influences somehow integrate themselves.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I appreciate you going into that. I mean, it's not like Laurel Canyon sound or like Atlanta hip hop or something, but
Right.
there's something there for sure.
Yeah.
Um, Sort of switching gears a little bit. I mentioned to Grace, I'd never been to Rhode Island in my life until last year. I was on a work gig, and by the grace of God, it was the same time as you guys were doing the Rock Gods or your Ocean Mist residencies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Booked a
yeah,
ticket, drove down there. It was like an hour, by myself. And it was, I just got to say, it was like a really great sort of musical experience, kind of catching a band on like a home turf like that. It sort of felt like a basement show or something. But one thing, John, you mentioned, and maybe it was just an offhand comment, but it kind of stuck with me. You're like, aging in a rock band is weird. And it got me thinking of like, I'm 37. I have a 4-year-old. I mean, maybe it's just the insanity of 2026, but all of these songs, in addition to the Rhode Island nature, have a very kind of reflective, kind of passing of time, what could have been sort of nature to it. Um,
totally.
where does that come from?
I think, I'm just feeling my own mortality a little bit more with
Yeah.
each passing day, and I just moved back to Rhode Island a few years ago, and it just felt like the appropriate time for me and for the band to kind of like make a record like this, kind of take stock of everything and look back a little bit. And it's okay to like. There's nothing more pathetic than like a rock band, in their 40s and beyond, like trying to be 20 again,
Sure.
Singing about high
Like,
school.
I mean, if you wrote a great song about high school when you were
Yeah,
20, you
Right.
right.
can play that for the rest of your life, sure. But
Yeah.
when you're still writing like uh when you're still writing shit like that and trying to live it, at a certain stage in your life, it's just dumb. So it,
Fair.
like you gotta either break up or grow up, I
Ooh,
guess, you know?
there we go. Um, yeah, totally. I mean, I certainly felt it. And as someone who's seen a lot of Deer Tick shows over the years, some, not all of the debauchery, raucousness is mellowed a bit, let's call it. But what I have noticed is that like the instrumentation and musicality has improved. Like every time I kind of see you every few years or whatever, I was like, damn, like they got really good.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like, take less drugs, buy more instruments. You know.
Well,
and
that's what I
then
was sort of like thinking about your reflection comment about the lyrics feeling reflective is I think that's something that makes this set of songs pretty cool too, is because
Mhm.
there's like an introspection and reflection lyrically that kind of looks backward, but musically there's still a searching. Not that the lyrics aren't searching either, but the lyrics sort of like are telling this story that can look in the past and like look toward the future. But I think all of us are certainly still sort of like learning our instruments, getting better at our instruments, practicing, learning new things, which is still really exciting. And I think that keeps being an aging musician fun, is that there's so much to still learn and do.
Mhm.
Um, so it's sort of like your lyrics can have this quality of reflection and whatnot, but your musicianship can also be progressing, which I think is a nice combination.
Yeah. Yeah, and not to like harp on the, aging bit, but I feel like you guys have really like lasted through all these like generations of trends and, music industry stuff. And at least this is me projecting, but it feels like you have a really healthy relationship with the biz, as they say, with like social media and having press, I mean, even like this to a degree. Part of that's by choice, but part of that's probably, you guys have kind of earned the right to engage or disengage. How has that been something you've navigated the last, call it 20 years?
I, I mean, I kind of hopped off social media back in like, I mean, it was before COVID even. So, so like I had had enough a while ago. Um, but I don't know. I mean, honestly, if my manager or somebody is like, you got to make a video to promote the Philadelphia show or whatever, I'll like make some goofy video and send it in, but I'm not the one posting it or, you know, whatever they got to do with it is fine. But I really like I guess one of my proudest social media moments was when I made that tour promo video a few years ago where um, I wanted to show everybody what to do in case they encountered a deer tick concert ticket stealing monster. So
Oh,
I
okay.
pretended to be one and I had my sister pepper spray me.
Oh, I
Uh,
do remember that actually. That
yeah,
was good.
that was a good one. It's kind of hard to keep upping the ante though without like, you know, I
Yeah,
don't
you
know,
kind of did
doing
yourself
like a
in now.
Yakuza to your finger or something. I'm not gonna go that far, but
Yeah. Um, okay. Yeah, you might have outdone yourself with that one, but we'll keep an eye out. Just to get personal for a moment, like what I really appreciate about you guys is that you seem like genuine like music fans. Like you sort of, wear your influences on your sleeve a little bit from the cover songs you choose, the bands you take on the road. I've communicated with Ian a few times. Like I know he's a big Springsteen and like Dylan fan and stuff. And in my sort of informative, music discovery years, I honestly credit you guys a lot with like my, John Prine and Warren Zevon and NRBQ and like some of these bands that,
Cool.
kind of go into like total wormholes. I
Yeah.
guess my question is like, what is your relationship to like music as fans, while also being like established artists who kind of know the ins and outs of the biz and all that?
I mean, I guess when it comes to like, exposing our audience to like covers or the artists that we're big fans of, I think it's just good to keep those that music out there for the people who maybe haven't discovered it yet.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't, it would be a shame if all any 20 something year old knew about Warren Zevon was Werewolves in London, you know?
Mhm.
So I don't know. I feel like it's our duty to like, s- spread the word on music that we enjoy. Maybe it's not quite as important as, playing our own songs in concert, but you're never gonna see a Deer Tick show without at least one cover song.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, I wouldn't have Twiddlywinks in my record collection if not for you
Oh
guys.
man,
So,
cool. No, I mean,
um,
and that's like the every time we head out on tour, like for the most part, we start making huge playlists
mhm.
together. And I know all of us are still actively discovering music and still getting really excited by new discoveries. And like John said, then sharing that stuff with the world. Like the van playlist that we would make a lot of times and listen to quite a lot amongst
Yeah.
ourselves would end up being like the house music too, because of this stuff that we're psyched about.
Yeah, I love that. Just one more for you. I'll let you run. And I know a few years back, during sort of like, I don't know, maybe the negativity era, like, and I won't ask anything personal here, but it just seemed like there was maybe some uncertainty, of like the long-term Deer Tick viability. But in recent years, it feels like new record, new tour, every few years, like, we're gonna get a chance to hear a new record or tour. Is that sort of a fair assumption? Like you guys gonna be celebrating your 21 years, 42 years here coming up?
You're coming
Yeah,
up. Oh no. Yeah,
Not
but
coming
yeah.
up, but down
we'll
the
be
line.
here
No, I
before you
got
know
you.
it.
I know. That's how it
No,
seems to go.
yeah, I mean, yeah, stuff. I mean, around that time was definitely it could have totally gone off the rails and never gotten back on, but it didn't.
Yeah,
And you know, I've grown as a human being, um, in many other ways other than the physical.
sure.
Uh, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be a little bit more mellow version of myself, and I can still drink a beer, so no complaints.
Cool, man. Yeah, I didn't mean to pry. I was just thinking like, you guys have been like pretty steady output the last few years, and it's just kind of exciting. So, keep it rolling as long as you can.